Okay, the magic moment has arrived. It's 6:30. We will reconvene our meeting now, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if any of you students want to start us, that'd be great. Thank you. We are now going to open our annual budget hearing. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Welcome to the budget hearing for 2019-2020 school year. The purpose of this hearing is to give taxpayers the opportunity to provide support, opposition, criticism, or suggestions and observations regarding the budget. There will be a review of budget items, and the board will provide an opportunity for public comment. The adoption of the budget will take place by vote during the board meeting and not at the hearing. The 1920 general fund budget, when including all the cash reserves and estimated county treasurer balance, comes to $69,044,277.42. The district's budget of actual expenditures for 1920, when excluding the cash reserve and the estimated county treasurer balance, is $47,221,659. This budget will allow the district to continue its current programs and goals for 1920 without the need to use existing cash reserves or increase overall tax levy. All the district's other funds represent adequate cash flow, with those total balances being budgeted as expenditures for 2019-2020. I believe, Ms. Nelson, did you put the budget up there? Okay. If you'd hit the 1X that enlarges it in the top right corner. Thank you. Scroll down. Thank you. At this time, is there anyone from the public who would like to approach the board with any comments or suggestions concerning the proposed 1920 budget for the district? Okay.
That one student was about to say something.
Okay.
With that being said, Madam President, I recommend that we close this hearing.
Okay. We will now close the budget hearing. And now we have the annual tax hearing. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. Welcome to the tax request hearing for 1920 fiscal year. The purpose of this hearing is to give taxpayers the opportunity to provide support, opposition, criticism, or suggestions and observations regarding the proposed tax request. There will be a review of the tax request, and the board will provide opportunity for public input. Official action and voting on the tax resolution for the school district will take place during the regular business meeting. This year's overall tax request for 1920 is detailed in the attached document A1, which is up there on the screen. This request represents the essential needs for our district's general and special building funds, as well as the principal and interest obligations in our different bond funds. The board is being mindful of our taxpayers when developing budgets and tax requests. So it is recommended to have a levy decrease of 0.003077, which would make our overall levy 1.173569 for 1920, compared to 1.176646 in 1819. At this time, is there anyone from the public who would like to approach the board to discuss the proposed tax request for 1920?
Okay.
With that being said, I recommend close this hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. We will now close the annual tax hearing. Now we get to the good part. 6.1, focus on the students. Mr. Speck.
Uh, all right, first off, thank you for having us. I'm Melissa Warner. I'm a fourth grade teacher at Washington Elementary.
I'm Katie Fye. I'm the other fourth grade teacher at Washington.
My name is Jackson Mateo. My name is Landon McMahon.
My name is Alexis Cook. My name is Kinley Thomas.
And tonight we're going to give you a presentation on Safety Patrol and how valuable that is to our school. So 1920 AAA took over the Safety Patrol program in the United States. So it's been around a long time. Maybe some of you have been Safety Patrol at one time in elementary school. I remember my days in Northern Hills, crossing kids at the corner. So it was super fun. So when the fifth graders left, fourth grade got the opportunity to take on that responsibility and be the upper class or the role models for Safety Patrol. At first we were a little scared because they were so little, but they have done a great job, and we've started this right after the first week of school. We started going. So we just have a little bit of information we'll share with you, and then we're going to do some practicing. All right, so at the beginning at our open house, we have all the fourth graders get a chance to sign up. We tell the parents to go home, talk to them, decide if it's feasible. Some of them have rides and can't, so it's totally optional. It is their job, we call it, so you can be fired from your job for different reasons of not showing up on time, not following directions, or one time some kids were throwing snowballs. You got fired from your job right on the day. So it happens. It's responsibility. It's a big job for them to do. So they report every day at 7:45 for an entire week, and then they stay after school until 3:25, and they work in the same group of kids all the time. So.
To prepare the students, since it is their first time as fourth graders for the opportunity, we have an officer come, and it was great this year. We were able to get Officer Teets to come over, so thank you for allowing us to have that resource. It was so nice to have him come and talk to the kids about a lot of different things, his job, how they might see him around, and that it's okay to come up and talk to him, even though he's in uniform. And even if it's not him, it's okay to go up to an officer in any uniform and talk to them about anything. It's perfectly acceptable and not to be afraid. So it was great to have him come and do that. And then he actually did take us outside, and the students get a chance, and he leads them through, tells them what is expected of them, what is expected of the driver, so that they can get experience. It's not all about the students, right? It's the driver, it's the pedestrians, what is their responsibility. So these kids have a lot to watch out for when we have those busy after school times, drop off in the morning. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of walking, so they have a lot of responsibility. So he really takes it step by step. What should the drivers be doing? What should the pedestrians be doing? And then what should the Safety Patrol students be doing? So he did a great job, and they got to practice and watch, and then they could go, and if they thought it was something they could do, they could sign up. And if they were like, oh, this looks like a big responsibility, they don't take that turn, and that's okay too. And the students, we asked them to come up with their own thoughts on why is it important for school safety, not just Safety Patrol, but all school safety. And so they each wrote down a little something that they're going to share right now on the importance of school safety.
Mine is, it is important to be a role model in the hallway. We practice drills like fire and tornadoes so we can be prepared.
School is a great place to learn how to be safe.
You need to follow the rules so you don't get hurt.
All right, and with that being said, we are going to practice the Safety Patrol rules here. So you guys are going to be our pedestrians. So we'll have half of you on this side and half on this side, and the curb is your sidewalk. We made a curb there for you to stand. And we will get our students here ready for their roles.
Can we get the 4 students to stand up front with their props real quick?
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. That was
Good job.
very engaging. Awesome.
Keep up the good work.
Okay, next we have the award for excellence.
Mrs. Bauman was not able to be here tonight, so she asked me to step in, so I'll step in. So I would like to have Kathy Walker come up near the microphone. Our award for excellence for the month of September, proud to announce Kathy Walker, special ed teacher at Westside Elementary. So let's give her a big round of applause. We'll get the photo up here. So she can't go away without us saying a few words. So I won't, well, maybe I won't read them all, but I'll read some. Mrs. Walker makes coming to work every day a joy. She constantly makes the people around her feel supported, even on tough days. She cares deeply for each student and each parent in her room, and she goes out of her way to make sure everybody feels successful. Mrs. Walker is a team player, and she works hard to make Westside an amazing school. I appreciate the advice and leadership that Mrs. Walker has shown to her paras over the years. Mrs. Walker can be counted on to serve her students in a caring and professional manner. It is evident that she truly cares about all of her students. Teaching social skills and helping to shape positive behaviors for student success in the classroom and in life is definitely a work in progress. That doesn't happen overnight. Kathy understands the developmental needs of her students, and she helps guide them to improve each and every day. Kathy is a valuable member of our staff at Westside. She has the students' best interest in mind. She is kind, patient, and compassionate with all people. Thank you, Mrs. Walker, for your commitment to our students and our district. Again, Kathy Walker, special ed teacher at Westside Elementary. And I told her she had to say something, so there you go.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. I don't like doing this, but this is nice. I mean, it's very weird to have all of these nice things said about you. I mean, oh my, it's almost overwhelming. But I couldn't do this job without my 3 paras in my room. I have wonderful people, Alina Skagstow, Stephanie Cohn, and Audrey Obermiller, and without their help, I couldn't do this job without them. They're very, very, very important people, and I just am glad they keep coming back and working with me. I also want to thank Angie Bauman for allowing me doing what I'm doing. She gives me the okay to try anything and anything I can with the students I work with, and that's huge. And I also have to thank my staff that I work with at Westside, because without them, I mean, we're a group together, and that's what makes us successful and go Westside. Thank you.
Any comments from the board?
I think it would be appropriate to also wish her a happy birthday.
Oh, my goodness. Congratulations, Kathy. It's a true honor. We love it when we get to honor our support and our teachers and everybody here.
I think
Okay.
these last two agenda items are truly the highlight for us each month, to see what our students are doing and see the leadership coming from our staff. So thank you to the students, and Kathy, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, everybody, for coming for our budget and our tax hearings.
Next, we have our Success Pin recipients. Dr. Thompson, you have quite a list.
Yes, thank you. Now that we are listing the Success Pin winners in our weekly newsletters, I am not going to read all of the names, but you will see the list is very lengthy. It does include all of the winners that we had over the summer. I do want to give a special shout out to our Cash Now winner, who is Patty Hagedorn. She will receive a $50 gift certificate in addition to her pin, compliments of U.S. Bank.
Thank you. 7.7 point, public comments and communication. This is the time during the meeting when the public may request to address the board. If you wish to comment, we ask that you identify yourself and the topic that you wish to address. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note that the board cannot discuss or act upon matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request that an item be placed on a future board agenda, you may contact the superintendent or her assistant during normal business hours. Also note that concerns related to school personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using the approved district protocol. Thank you. 8.1, Finance and Facilities Reports. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. The total amount for the 18-19 end of the fiscal year claims, which were approved last month, are as follows. The general fund, $1,460,325.82. The total amount of claims to be approved in the consent agenda for the month of September by fund are as follows. The general fund, $630,969.46. Nutrition fund, $171,446.35. The cooperative fund of $1,884.91. Depreciation, $434,296. Special building fund, $31,245.92. QC Puff was $6,575.50, and our student fee fund was $16,320.71. Total amount of claims for the month of August in the activities fund are as follows: $112,244.86. All of these claims were reviewed earlier today by our Finance and Facility Committee. The end of the 18-19 fiscal year claim amount was approved at our last board meeting. Details of the claims are attached for public review. The annual audit for 18-19 fiscal year has already started with the gathering of financial information and records for our auditors. Schumacher, Schmeckel, Brockhouse, and Hurley will be conducting the audit and plan to be on site the week of September 23rd.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Teaching and Learning Report. Beth Nelson.
Thank you, Mrs. President. Not a whole lot to go into tonight, although a lot has been happening. The Teaching and Learning Department we are finally normalizing. The beginning of the year did not disappoint with busyness. Added students brought on some extra tasks and orders that we were finally caught up on. Curriculum and Civics Committees met in August. The MAP fall testing window is now open for 3 weeks. It's important for us to gather data early in the year to assist in our decision making for instruction to meet student needs. We have multiple dates have already been set to work on curriculum for a bulk of this semester already. And the ESSA title grant is just about ready for submission, and it is open early this year for the first time since I have taken over the grant management. And in technology, of course, is ever evolving, but I believe the preschool is up to district standards now. Any questions about that?
Thank you, Beth. Student Services Report. Beth Nelson.
In Mary's absence, I will read her report. Fall activities have begun. Please be sure to check the activities calendar located on the Norfolk Public website for upcoming events, dates, times, and locations. Homecoming week begins this week at Norfolk High School. We hope you will be able to attend the football game on Friday, September 13th at 7 p.m. between Norfolk and Kearney. Coronation will be Saturday, September 14th at 7:30 p.m. with the homecoming dance to follow at 8 p.m. Mrs. Nelson and I, along with several elementary principals, the teaching and learning team, and special education personnel attended the Nebraska MTSS conference last week in Kearney. I can answer the MTSS questions if you have any.
I would just add to the Mary Beth statement on activities going on. Mr. Reese put out a email to Panther fans last week, and I think in light of Nebraska playing at Colorado last week and some of the experiences that might have been had by people from Norfolk, just a reminder what the expectation is on our fans in Norfolk, and the, you know, as Ben said, our efforts are greatly appreciated towards that. A reminder to all of our parents and coaches and participants in activities that we are representatives of Norfolk Public Schools and our community of Norfolk. So to continue our outstanding sportsmanship and representing Panthers with class, I thought it was a really well put together email and a good reminder going into the fall activity season.
Thank you, Mrs. Nelson. Human Resources and Accreditation Report. Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Madam President. Let's talk about district safety and security and the audits that are coming up in October. We'll have another round of district security audits that will be completed by an external visitation team. It will be the same visitation team that was here last year. This audit gives us an opportunity to gather additional feedback on ways to make our schools as safe as possible, and it allows our safety teams to share and reflect on the things we've accomplished since last year's audit. So special thanks to our staff and the board for their continued commitment to school safety. With our instructional model, our district instructional model continues to expand as all certified staff this year have created their own personal instructional goals. Those are tied to components of the model, and those goals will be posted throughout the building so that students and staff can collaborate and reflect on those goals. So you should be seeing those if you go around to your building visits, posted in the classrooms. Our teachers do an outstanding job of meeting the needs of our students, and we just really appreciate their hard work and dedication to the continuous improvement they do with instruction. And below that is our current openings. I would entertain any questions at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Superintendent's Report. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to remind you of 3 very important events coming up in the near future. First and foremost, we have the Little Panthers preschool ribbon cutting and open house this Wednesday, September 11th at 10:30 in the Little Panthers preschool gym. We will have a welcome tour, refreshments, and ribbon cutting. Second, we have the Norfolk Public Schools Foundation's Traditions Breakfast on Thursday, October 24th at 7 a.m. And finally, registration begins this week for the Nebraska Association of School Boards State Education Conference, which will be held November 20th through 22nd in downtown Omaha. I would also like to schedule a board retreat. As you know, our enrollment has been steadily increasing for the last 9 years. We have taken some very proactive yet conservative steps to address that increase in enrollment, and we have hired a professional educational planning firm, RSP and Associates, to conduct a more thorough analysis of our enrollment using their sophisticated forecast model. I have their results back and would like to schedule a board retreat to study that information, as well as the potential impact that we can expect on our district moving forward in terms of staffing, facilities, and finances. I had placed a handout in front of you with some potential dates and times for the retreat towards the end of October, beginning of November, and asked that you circle all the dates that work for you. From the ones I have received so far, it's looking like it will be Halloween, October 31st, from 8 to noon. I would suggest that costumes are optional, or I will dress as the superintendent of Norfolk Public Schools. So if you would go ahead and hand those back to me, I will confirm that that is the date, but that is what it's looking like.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. We are into committee reports. We already did our board building visits. So we are into 9.2, finance and facilities. Mr. Robinson.
For the 18-19, that's, your mic is on. 18-19 school year, the claims for the month of September and the activity claims for August, we reviewed all of those. Discussed the closeout items on the Little Panthers preschool facility. Compliments to Jim Lange and Hespy Construction for bringing it in on time and having our students ready to go day one. Even bigger compliments to our staff in the building for being ready to go on day one and getting those classrooms ready. Good job. Other items for discussion were the final review of our proposed budget, final review of our tax request, and a review of the upcoming audit schedule for the 18-19 fiscal year, along with some discussion of the changes coming down with different reporting and structuring. The best summary of that should say that Bill and his team are ahead of the curve where we're going with having our accounts coded correctly and everything ready for the audit. So good work to them. Our next meeting will be October 14th at noon.
Thank you, Arnie. Let's go to policy committee report. Dr. Goebbels.
The policy committee met on August 29th at 1 p.m. to review policies 3010 through 3120, and all of those policies relate to business operations. Dr. Robinson was invited and attended the meeting to provide his perspective as the district's business manager. We have made several changes that we're recommending for approval to 3 of the policies in that grouping. The first changes are to board policy 3010, which is budget planning. And we're suggesting those changes because we want the policies to really reflect practice. So we're making changes or suggesting changes to align policy with current practice. The first of the 3 revisions for 3010 that we're suggesting, we would like to add priorities established by the Board of Education to be one of the priorities that's considered when we are developing our annual budget. I mean, obviously that's an important one to include. We also have inserted short-term goals in order to clarify that the budget should be compatible with both short-term and long-term district goals. And we would like to remove that a preliminary budget report would be given, I think it was early in the calendar year is how it was worded currently in the policy, because we don't do a preliminary budget report, so we would like to strike that from that section of that policy. Policy 3080, we are suggesting the revision to clarify when the superintendent needs to seek board approval when applying for federal funds or grants, federal grants. We want the wording to say that the superintendent must seek board approval for initial application for federal grants programs, but that the superintendent does not need to seek board approval every year when those secured grants are being renewed. That was just to clarify when that approval is necessary. And finally, 3120, the revision that we're requesting is to indicate that the district can use banks for our deposits that are outside of our district boundaries if those local banks cannot adequately secure our funds. We certainly use local banks, but we also have in the Nebraska Liquid Asset Fund a % of our cash reserves. We have that money in Nebraska Liquid Asset Fund because those reserves exceed the security maximums of our local banks. Those were the major changes that we're requesting. As you read through those policies, you saw that we are suggesting some non-substantive changes, really just to clarify, make the policies more understandable. The policy committee may meet again on September 26th. We will probably need to change that meeting date and time, but that's tentatively when it's scheduled.
Thank you, Patty. Government Relations Committee, Tammy.
We have not met. Nothing to report.
Thank you, Tammy. Bob Waite, would you like to speak about the Activities Committee report?
Madam President, we have not yet met either.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. It's going to get really busy pretty soon. Minutes of committee meetings. Patty would like to speak about the Civics and Curriculum Committee.
Yes, as you notice, we have committee meetings posted in this section. In the future, because both Curriculum Committee and the Committee on American Civics are standing board committees, they will show up in the same area as our Government Relations Committee report or our Facilities Committee report and so on. But, and with the new American Civics law, we have to post minutes of those meetings, so there will always be minutes of the meeting attached to our committee report. The Committee on American Civics did meet on August 29th at 10:35 a.m., I guess, to be exact. What we started with was we reviewed the requirements of the new Committee on American Civics law that was passed this last legislative session. That law requires that this committee meet at least twice publicly, and that one of those public meetings be an opportunity for public comment. So we intend to meet more than the 2 times. We think we'll probably have at least 3 meetings a year, but 2 of those will be public meetings. And so of course those meetings, notification will be posted according to board policy, just like we do for our board meetings. The second section of the law indicates that every student must pass an assessment related to civics. There are 3 options in the law provided. The social studies teachers submitted to Beth, and she shared with us as a committee that what they would like to do is have students during government class do a project or paper and presentation, because the law says you have to do paper, project, and everybody has to do a presentation, right? So that's why it's that way. But it's good to give kids a choice of project or paper depending upon preference. Because every student has to take government class, that's why that course was selected for the assessment. The students, and the law even gives individuals to do the report on, or holidays that they can do the report, the presentation and project or paper. So they then will submit their presentation to their teachers, and I'm sure there'll be some way to document that in the teaching learning office. We talked about that the teachers want to have the students respond to how the presentation or how the paper that they've done is meaningful to them, which we think is important. But because this is intended to show learning about civics, we are recommending that they add a question that gets at the heart of, you know, what significance did this person or what significance does this holiday have to being a good citizen in the United States, or how has it impacted society, so that they really are making the connection to civics. So Mrs. Nelson has taken that suggestion back to that group, and they will think through wording and things and then send it back to the committee for recommendation for approval. Also, the American Civics Law has lots of requirements related to curriculum and instruction. So, for example, buildings need to document that the social studies being taught is aligned with the state social studies standards, that students say the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, there are a lot of specific requirements. So what the committee has talked about and what Beth initially designed is a checklist. So every building administrator would complete an annual Americanism compliance report. I think I got that right. And it would have both a checklist, so those administrators would go through and check off that the requirements have been met. But we have also asked that in addition to just that checklist, we also have them provide some evidence, some support for those requirements being met. Not that they include tons of documentation, but simply an example or two of how those things are met in their building. Summary, you know, paragraph summary, something like that for each of the points. Beth has also visited with the academic person at NDE, Corey Epler, is that his name?
Yes.
Okay. And to really kind of find out how much time do schools have to be in compliance with this law. The response she got is that this year is really a transition year for implementation. And part of that is because there are new social science standards that have been developed, but those have not yet been approved by NDE, by the state school board. So it makes sense to give schools a little bit of time, because obviously once those are approved, schools are going to have to make some adjustments to their social studies curriculum to be in compliance with state standards. So that's all we did. Got a lot accomplished. I think we're moving forward in a way that will be effective, in addition to being in compliance with the law. So thank you, Beth, for all of your work on that.
Thank you, Patty. Also attached were the September 19 nurses meeting minutes and the student health meeting minutes. We're now into the consent agenda.
Would you like curriculum committee report too?
Oh, there's more?
Yeah.
Sure, that was just the one. Okay, go for it.
All right, so after the Committee on American Civics met, we met as a curriculum committee. We covered a lot of ground. We talked about and reviewed the curriculum work that's being done or was done over the summer. In particular, talked about those courses where target-based grading is going to be piloted, or is being piloted, I guess we're in process now, this year. And it is by course, so it's not just one instructor, but every instructor who teaches, for example, pre-algebra at the junior high will be participating in the pilot, just so that's really equitable and consistent across all of those students. The pilot was only accepted, I guess I would say, if and when the teachers of those courses had gone through all of the steps. So everything from identifying priority standards to identifying learning targets, coming up with assessments, and then finally having proficiency levels identified. So they really have all of the parts together, which only makes sense because you wouldn't want to pilot it unless they were really at that point. And, you know, Beth also commented that it's interesting to see in working with a number of the teachers that when you get to that proficiency level identification, teachers start, especially teachers I think who need to see the whole before they gain an understanding, because we've been doing this in parts, right? Priority standards and then learning targets. But for a lot of those teachers, now that they're at that proficiency level identification, they're really saying, oh, I'm starting to get this. This makes sense now, which is really important for them because they'll start believing in it, right, when it is making sense to them. Beth also indicated that the calendar for having all 145 courses be developed so that there can be target-based grading has been pushed back a bit, just to give more time to make sure
It's
that.
just 145 at the senior high.
At the senior high.
Yeah, that's,
yeah.
So, yeah, like,
Yeah.
just to get the senior high done, that in and of itself is gonna take more time.
Right. Yes, and that's the part of the calendar that's been pushed,
Yes,
is the
yes.
senior high part. Thank you for that clarification. We discussed the importance of core instruction. You know, success all starts with providing instruction that is based on the model and really does promote effective student learning, because we're really moving with that mindset of having a guaranteed and viable curriculum for all students. Let's see. Oh, another important thing, there is a pilot now of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, and 8th grade science. They are piloting a Pearson science program called Elevate. And of course, with that pilot, when it comes to conclusion, there will be some reports about their perceptions of the program and, you know, benefits and drawbacks of it and so on. And finally, Beth's team is in the process of developing some quick 3-minute explainer videos for parents, primarily parents, right? And those explainer videos are really just to explain very quickly and easily at a basic understanding level all of the elements of target-based grading. So the first one would be kind of what is target-based grading. And then as we continue moving through that conversion, you know, at some point when we are talking about transcripts and what will happen with transcripts, the idea is there will be an explainer video. Just another way of communicating with parents about target-based grading.
Were there questions?
When will those videos be available? Because I'm just getting hammered about this.
Right, we are just on the very first one, and my goal is to have that by the end of September for sure. Like, I'm trying to have someone with the art and the things that go together. Like, so I'm giving narration and direction, and they're designing it and putting it together so it's more professional, and they look at it at a different angle than I do. And so hoping that by September 20th it is done. We've gone through a lot of edits back and forth, myself and this person and then my team, and just having other people listen to it.
Be on the website?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we can tweet it. We can do several different methods of getting that information out to parents. It could be emailed to them. there's a lot of different ways we can get that to them.
So for sure, before conferences.
Absolutely. See, I felt like that would be a great tool to have available, to springboard for those conversations. Right.
I think that's a great plan, because I think there's definitely some confusion in our parents right now about what's the difference between a
Absolutely.
formative and a
Yep.
summative. And
It's very difficult to understand. If you're not in education, you're just not familiar with that kind of conversation.
Or the students grasping it.
And, and as teachers are learning, they're going through with students. If students don't understand, teachers have to re-explain. It's just a process of gaining understanding together. Just a different look. Just look at it a different direction. But I really feel like we've worked hard to create situations where students, it's not going to leave them high and dry. Like we've provided opportunities for them to look at it again, keep trying again. That's the whole intent, to become proficient at whatever concept they're learning, so that you're not taught something and left behind.
Okay, good job, thanks. Okay, we are to the consent agenda items. There were no contract approval, no resignations, the minutes of those previous meetings, the school board meeting, the monthly board, and claims, Dr. Robinson.
Attached are the claims for the month of September. These claims were reviewed earlier today by our Finance and Facility Committee. There are no conflict statements this month.
You're looking at me.
No, just that general direction.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
second that.
We have a motion by Bruce and a second by Arnie. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Mary. We are now to the action items. Whoa. Okay, we are going to talk about the 2019-20 tax resolution. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Public notice was given at least 5 days in advance of the district's special public hearing called for the purpose of discussing and approving or modifying the district's tax request for 2019-2020 schools fiscal year for the general fund, bond fund, special building fund, and qualified capital purpose undertaking fund of Madison County School District 59-2. The special public hearing was held before the Board of Education of Madison County School District 59-2 at the time, date, and place announced in the notice published in a newspaper of general circulation, a copy of which notice and proof of publication of which is attached hereto as Exhibit A-1, all as required by law. The board provided an opportunity to receive comment, information, and evidence from persons in attendance at such special hearing, and the board, after having reviewed the district's tax request for each said fund, and after public consideration of the matter, has determined that the final tax requests as listed below are necessary in order to carry out the function of the district as determined by the board for the 1920 fiscal year. Now therefore, the governing body of Madison County School District 59-2 resolves that the tax request for the general fund should be and hereby is set at $25,946,862.24. The tax request for the special building fund should be and hereby is set at $1,297,343.11. The tax request for the bond fund, K8, should be and hereby is set at $1,152,272.74. The tax request for the bond fund 912 should be and hereby is set at $817,424.26. And the tax request for the qualified capital purpose undertaking fund should be and hereby is set at $1,010,000 $10,101. The total assessed value of property differs from last year's total assessed value by an increase of 2.5%. The tax rate, which would levy the same amount of property taxes as last year, when multiplied by the new total assessed value of property, would be 1.150015. Madison County School District 59-2 proposes to adopt a property tax rate that will cause its tax rate to be 1.173569 per $100 of assessed value. Based on proposed property tax requests and changes in other revenue, the total operating budget of Madison County School District 59-2 will be a decrease from last year's by 0.3%. With this being said, I make a recommendation to the board to approve this tax resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2019-2020 tax resolution.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Bob and a second by Patty. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Mary. We are now going to discuss and take action to approve the 2019-20 budget. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. The 2019-2020 budget has been reviewed in depth by our Finance and Facility Committee. The entire board had a chance to review the budget at a public meeting on August 29th. The public also had an opportunity for comment and input at our hearing earlier this evening. With that being said, I make a recommendation to the board to approve the budget for 2019-2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2019-2020 budget.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Bruce and a second by Arnie. Is there any discussion?
I would like to make a few comments before you proceed. Norfolk Public Schools has prided itself on providing our students with outstanding educational opportunities at a very economical cost to our taxpayers. We understand the effect that increasing property taxes has on our local constituents, and we have responded by controlling our spending and by reducing our levy by almost 15 cents over the last 9 years, including another 0.3 cents this year. Norfolk Public Schools state aid did increase by $2.2 million this year. However, state aid is very unpredictable from year to year, and our current allocation is still less than what we received in 2002, 2003, and in 2010, 2011. Our property taxes, on the other hand, have shown a consistent upward trend. If our property tax receipts are collected in full, we will get just over $30 million, which is an increase of $665,696.50. That will be allocated in the following manner. Almost $26 million will go to the general fund for salaries, equipment, utilities, basic operating expenses. Almost $1.3 million will be allocated to the special building fund for replacement of some antiquated HVAC systems at the senior high, junior high, and Jefferson Elementary. And almost $3 million is required for bond payments. Our total budgeted expenditures for 1920, as Dr. Robinson said, is just over $47 million, an increase of about $1.2 million. That is a 2.76% increase, which is well below the recommended 3.0 increase for state agencies, and it is necessary for us to have that increase in order for us to provide appropriate levels of staffing and materials for our growing student population, which has increased by 514 students since 2010. Our conservative fiscal approach has resulted in Norfolk Public Schools being ranked number 16 in terms of efficiency out of 244 Nebraska public schools. Our cost per pupil is $1,343.33 less than the state average. I believe that this is a strong yet conservative budget. It maintains our conservative fiscal approach while investing in our infrastructure and our staff. If approved, the budget will allow us to continue providing outstanding educational opportunities for our students. It gives us the room necessary to address our growing enrollment through additional staffing and to address our aging HVAC systems in the district. I have no reservations recommending this budget to you for approval. And Dr. Robinson and I are open to questions.
Well, I do know we have discussed the budget at length, and I do feel really strong about it as well. I think we are doing a great job. Thank you, Dr. Robinson and Dr. Thompson, and to all of our staff who are so doing just marvelous. Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Mary. We are now going to consider and take action to approve the first reading of Board Policies 3010, Budget Planning, 3011, Fund Balance Reporting, 3020, Public Review of Budget, 3030, Transfer of Funds Between Categories, 3040, Budget as Spending Plan, Budgeted Items, 3050, Tuition Fees for Non-Resident Students, 3060, Material Fees, 3070, Summer School Fees, 3080, Federal Funds, 3090, Sale and Disposal of School Property, 3100, Leasing, 3110, Short-Term Investing, and 3120, Depository and Resolution. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. These policies were reviewed by our policy committee, and the recommended changes were explained earlier this evening by Dr. Patty Goebbels. If you have any questions, I would be happy to try and answer them.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of board policies as listed above.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion by Tammy and a second by Arnie. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Mary. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the sale of outdated sewing machines. Mrs. Nelson.
We have replaced, this is a vocational area in our world, but we've replaced our sewing machines at the senior high. They are no longer operable in the classroom. However, 7 of them could be sold for home use. We're seeking permission to sell these outdated machines for $25 each and to recycle any machines that cannot be sold. Because these machines are past life expectancy, they are no longer carried on our Perkins inventory, which means that any money generated from their sale can be deposited for future equipment purchases.
I'll make a motion to approve the sale of outdated sewing machines.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bruce and a second by Tammy. Is there any discussion? Are they electronic? Are they?
You know, excuse me, I have not touched them personally, but I do not believe that they are of that grade at this point. I would venture to guess the new ones are.
Sure. We're trying to sell these though, remember?
Right.
Yeah. They're really good.
Just feel like I gotta be honest.
$25. Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Mary. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the signing of the certificate of notification from the Stanton County Planning Commission. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Madam President. According to Stanton County Subdivision Regulation Article 6, a final plat shall have a certificate of notification signed by the school board president. I have attached documents for you to review from Stanton County regarding this plat, which is called Valley View Estates. They would like our board president to sign off on this, noting whether we have any objection or opposition to it. I did call and get some information. It is basically ag land that is being developed into acreages.
Do those students have the choice to go to Norfolk or Stanton, or
They would be Norfolk Public School students. That is why we are the ones who have to sign off. I see no reason why we would oppose this. It's just a formality.
I'll make a motion to approve the signing of the certificate of notification from Stanton County Planning Commission without objection.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Tammy and a second by Patty. Any other questions or discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Mary. Well, that ends our meeting almost. We come to future meetings. The next meeting will be the second monthly meeting of the Board of Education at noon on Thursday, September 26th. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, October 14th, 2019. The study session will begin at 5:30 and will be followed by the business meeting at 6:30. All components of these meetings will be held at the Norfolk Public Schools Central Administration offices and will be open to the public unless an executive session is needed in order to protect the interest of the district or the reputation of an individual.
At this time, I do not anticipate that we will need a second meeting of the month, but we'll keep that on the calendar just for now to be sure.
Thank you. With that, we call the meeting adjourned.